Welcome to Same But Different, the movie talk show where we review movies every week like a book club. This week, we are reviewing the highest grossing animated movie of all time, Inside Out 2.
Dos.
Coming at you from Disney Pixar. I mean, in the past, 15 years have been hit or miss?
Yeah. Hit, miss, hit.
Surprisingly, probably accurate. Let's see if Inside Out 2 is a hit or a miss, starting with your opinion, Brody. What did you think of the film?
Me? Wowzers. I gave this movie a 7 out of 10.
7, okay.
Might be a soft 7, and it might be more like a 6.8, but I didn't want to give it a 6. And I don't really like doing 0.5s, so I bumped it. If this wasn't a sequel, I probably would have liked it even more.
Okay. That's weird.
I know. I'm going to try to explain myself. Inside Out was a movie that justified a sequel, which is cool because Pixar has kind of become notorious for making sequels that, just for the cash grab. This one happened to be a cash grab at the end of the day, but it was also a welcome addition. The reason I think it lost a lot of points for me is threefold, Darik.
Oh, threefold? Oh.
Threefold. We're going to get into those first.
Strap in.
1. We kind of already knew what we were getting into. I think that the first one was really, really original and very surprising, and we had never seen anything like it before. And this one just kind of did it again. It did it in a really, really good way, but we already knew. I always do this. I've probably done this on the show before. It was It Chapter 2. The first one came out. You were blown away because you didn't know what to expect. Then the second one was just not as good because you knew what you were getting into. And that's kind of what happened with this one for me.
Do you not think the fact that it's a whole new stage of life was different enough for you?
It was. Well, that kind of ties into my third point, sort of. We'll get to that. Actually, maybe it ties into my second one, too. So, 2, okay. Not to say anxiety and overthinking and stuff isn't something that I deal with all the time, because it is. The idea of it being coupled with a coming of age story for me just wasn't relatable.
Okay.
Because when I was 13, this stuff wasn't as open and out there as it is now, and you didn't really have to overcome it. You just lived with it because you didn't even know it existed, really. It wasn't like everyone has anxiety. You just kind of thought that's who you were. So it wasn't something to overcome.
I'm failing to see the issue.
Well, I couldn't relate to Riley. I mean, I could, but not as specifically as I would have liked to. I could definitely relate to having panic attacks and anxiety and overthinking. I couldn't relate to that if I was a 13-year-old boy, I guess. And because of that, the movie never brought me to tears like the first one did. So certainly had the heart, but again, because of the first one, it just lacked a little bit there for me.
As someone who, I experienced small, little tiny bouts of anxiety, nothing on the stages of anybody else who deals with it. Like, I've been lucky in that regard, but I do have a partner who deals with it heavily, and she also once was a 13-year-old girl, so she identified with this movie quite succinctly. Who you are viewing the movie and how you're affected is different, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I've been her, having those attacks and just kind of like touching what's around me to kind of ground myself. I've been there. I don't know. And maybe it's because she was a 13-year-old girl. Maybe that's specifically it. I don't know. There's something about it that just distanced me from exactly what she was going through, instead of just the idea of what she was going through.
I found myself watching this and then retroactively viewing my actions as a child, as a 13-year-old boy, and being like, maybe I was dealing with something.
I've already done that.
Okay, so you're way ahead of me.
I realized that a long time ago. I also don't... What's the point in looking back and being like, that was an anxiety attack? That doesn't help anybody. I had a hard time connecting with specifically Riley, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. What's your third point?
This is my biggest gripe. I would say very slight spoilers. It's pretty much implied by the trailer. If you know the plot of the movie, you know this, so I wouldn't worry too much about this. It's kind of the exact same movie as the first one when you really boil it down to just the main message. Like in the first one, sadness was taking over everything and the emotions had to come together and learn how to balance, and that it's necessary for them all to work together for her to experience that, and sadness is important. And in this one, it's the exact same thing with anxiety.
And other emotions.
Yeah, but anxiety.
and other emotions.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very poignant part in the movie where all the emotions have to work together.
I'm just saying it has the same formula. They definitely expanded and they went different routes, and I appreciated that. But the different routes they went, I feel didn't feel as grand as the first one. The first one felt like such a large adventure, and this one felt a little more straightforward. Other than those 3 points, this movie was great. It was really enjoyable. It was very fun. It was beautifully animated. It had wonderful music. It's a shame to see that Michael Giacchino didn't come back to do the sequel, but it's now the first woman composer in any Pixar movie, so that's a cool belt to have. And the humor for a kid's movie mostly all landed. I mean, I was really impressed. It was quite funny. The sarcasm bit was really funny. Anger, they really upped anger in this one. I thought he was so funny in this. And the video game character shit was brilliant.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
It's a really good flick. It's filled with really good content. I don't think personally it should be the highest grossing animated movie of all time, but I definitely understand the hype and I see why people flock to this movie. Honestly, talking about it, it might be a hard 7. It might be more like a 7.3. Like, just thinking about it, I'm like, I'll probably rewatch that. I really did enjoy the movie.
Let's see if I can convince you to raise it a little bit.
I had a feeling.
I really liked this movie.
Nice.
I had a fun time watching this movie. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Whoa!
I think Inside Out and Inside Out 2 are some of Pixar's best works.
Whoa.
And yeah, that I know that's saying a lot, but if you really think about it, you have wonderful stories with all of Pixar. Obviously, Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Bug's Life. Like, they're all classics, they're all great stories. These movies, it's an animated film and it appeals to people on such a realistic human level. And I don't think any other Pixar has done that. Like, you can identify with the character, sure, but there's something so raw and real about these movies where everybody, I mean 13 and up at least, can identify with these films in some regard.
That's fair. I'd argue Coco's the next, in what you're saying, Coco would be up there with it.
I think that's extremely special and extremely clever to pull off, and difficult to pull off, to just, have this fantasy world but be so relatable in every fiber of my body, honestly, besides being a 13-year-old girl. The way the emotions were utilized, how they interacted with each other, and how they react and are consequential to the development of Riley, I think was flawless. Right down to little tiny exchanges between the emotions where, anxiety was first introduced and fear's like, oh, we're gonna be friends.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Because those emotions are together. Yeah. They go together.
The googly eyes sadness was giving embarrassment because those emotions go together.
They used the emotions so well. The only one I found that wasn't utilized, not correctly, because it was utilized correctly, but maybe not to the fullest extent it could have been, was envy. Introducing more emotions was essential. You have a little girl who's growing up. You're going to have more emotions than just like the basic ones. Aside from that, I also like how they introduced new concepts, because growing up as a kid, you have very little knowledge of the world, and once you start growing up, new concepts are introduced. So you got your belief system, which was fantastic. Shoving away bad memories, kind of like putting them in your back of your mind so you don't want to think about them anymore. We all go through that. And then further, only to realize that your bad memories are what make you who you are, That was so good. The little vault scene where we secretly hide things that we still think about. It's kind of like guilty pleasures sort of thing. We all have those things that we secretly still love. Some of us show it more than others, as you can see from my background. But puberty, obviously, that was the main one. Introducing puberty, the concept of that. And just growing up in general. Growing up means that all your emotions don't have to be so separate. They can bleed into each other. It doesn't need to be so black and white. And it introduced the concept that sometimes you can actually choose which emotion you want to feel that moment.
Right.
Super important lesson in growing up.
Honestly, it didn't just have a lesson, it had lessons, a lot of them.
Yeah, it was literally a life course of growing up. The mediocre for me was the plot, and you kind of touched upon this. It was predictable. It was kind of the same as the previous one for sure, but I think that's okay because we've all gone through this. I mean, anybody who's older than 13. So what we're viewing on screen is like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Like we're all familiar with what's happening.
Yeah.
Parts of the movie that lost points for me, the emotions having emotions is really confusing for me.
That's fair.
It's necessary for character and to drive the plot forward, so I understand why they do it. However, it just like leaves you a huge plot hole. Not a plot hole.
Kinda.
A paradox almost.
Yeah.
They would have, control panel emotions in their head and they would go on forever. It's just kind of weird to get behind that concept.
Yep, an infinite loop of emotions. Yeah. I think the moment when fear said pinch me and anger just punched him in the gut is the funniest part in all two movies.
That was a good part. For me, it was the video game character trying to get out of the vault.
That was also really funny.
Maybe College Years next movie or something like that.
It'd be hard to stay family friendly when you want to be realistic with that.
True, we might have to skip that and go straight into adulthood, dating, getting married, having kids.
Yeah. All right, 7.5 then. You upped me a bit.
Yeah?
I'll give it a 7.5. There wasn't a bing bong moment.
Inside Out 2, have you seen it? If you have, hop on down to the comment section below and let us know what you thought about the film. While you're down there, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with your friends, hit the bell, do all the things, enhance the experience for you on our channel because we love talking about movies. We love talking about movies with you and building this experience. Next week, I'm not going to be around.
Oh, shucks.
I'm going to Nashville to get my country on.
Jesus Christ.
So Brody's going to take control. Brody, why don't you tell the folks what you're doing?
I'm going to watch a new movie I'm looking forward to because it's weird and I like weird. I'm going to watch Kinds of Kindness. I liked Poor Things. I didn't think it was all that incredible, but I liked it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this one is.
I will probably watch it as well. I just won't be reviewing it for y'all. You'll have to deal with Brody's face. If I'm not too busy getting my country on.
Oh my God, end the video.
Everybody keep watching movies. We'll see you next time.
Bye, love you.